So I am here with the daughter of the late NFL great Sam Davis of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Tonya R. Davis. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm excellent. Thank you so much for taking the time. And you've written this excellent book, Other Side of the Coin, My Path to Healing. The first question for you, like I know you've probably heard this before, it obviously has a football reference. Why did you decide to title the book Other Side of the Coin?
But the other side of the coin, it represents kind of like the opposites. It also represents the football game. When you start a football game, you use a quarter and you either go for heads or tails. So for me, it represents the opposite of kind of the opposite of my dad because I'm not a real big football fan. So I like the other side of the coin because it just represents opposite.
Uh, Amazingly titled. I think when you think of great athletes, a lot of times they can be great, at sports. And that doesn't necessarily translate into other areas in their life, like you would hope it would, parenting or being a great partner. How would you describe your father?
Well, I would describe my father. That's also kind of two-sided coin. But I would describe my father as a very loving and caring man. He helped a lot of people. He was participated in a lot of events. Um, I got to know my father a little better once I moved to Pittsburgh with him. So once as growing up, I wasn't really a part of his life like I would personally have liked to have been. So once I moved to Pittsburgh with him, I got a better understanding of who he was. And he was very helpful. He was very involved in different organizations. He was strongly in education. So he made sure that we went to school and got our education.
That's amazing. Why weren't you involved with your father, early on, like you wanted to be? It seemed like you wanted a closer relationship. Like, what was preventing that?
Well, my mother and father they separated. They were married right after high school. So they were high school sweethearts. And when my father moved to Columbia to go to Allen University, him and my mother, they separated and they got a divorce. So I was very young when they got a divorce. So he was never in my life at that time as I was growing up at a younger age. So I would always just visit him, my grandmother's house. I would always visit my grandmother's house. He has a big picture that was always there. So I got most of what I understood and knew of my father through my grandmother and just waiting for the Pittsburgh Steelers to play and watch him come on the field.
So you actually got a chance, to watch him play. What was it like, growing up, being the daughter of this NFL great?
Wow, it wasn't say it was hard, but there was a lot of people that um looked up to me and my sister because of my father. We received a lot of recognition, especially in high school. And I went to high school with one of his former friends from school. He was my principal there. So there was a lot of highlights of people just praising us and, thinking that we were, really close to our father. So we got a lot of recognition just because of who he was.
Your father, won 4 Super Bowls with the Steelers, which is an incredible feat. Some people may not know, but he injured his foot before Pittsburgh's first Super Bowl. And he pretty much lost his starting position. Could you kind of did you see as far as a change, or did that affect him?
I wasn't in his life at the time, but I remember when he did get injured. Um, he still continued to play after that. I think maybe for about 3, 4 years after that, he still continued to play. I remember I have now still a picture of him when he was had on his cast on his leg, from his leg to his thigh. So I have that picture of him that reminds me that he did one at that time get injured.
Definitely. You've gone on to accomplish like a lot of amazing things. You've gone to graduate school, like have a master's. Like do you feel like like that some of that hard work and dedication, like was instilled from your father?
Oh yeah, definitely. He always instilled, pretty much whatever we wanted to do, that we were capable and able to do it, and just always to try, to reach our best. And if it was anything that we wanted to do, just to go for it.
Definitely. What's some of your greatest memories about your father?
Hmm. Actually, one of my favorite memories of my father, and he was always a businessman. He always he had like three businesses at the time that I was in Pittsburgh. He made sure we all had transportation. But one of my greatest memory of him is actually when he brought this. There's four girls at that time, so he brought all of us into his room. He goes to his closet. We have no idea what he's doing. He just go to his closet. He pulls out a jewelry box. He sit us all on the bed, and didn't really exchange many words. But he just opened the box and he showed us the four Super Bowls ring that he had at that time. So we were young, and so we all just picked out which ring that we would have. So it was like the firstborn picked the first Super Bowl ring, and I picked the second Super Bowl ring, and my other sister picked the third one, and that was the order of our birth. So we picked those rings according to what birth we was.
That's pretty awesome. Your book, Other Side of the Coin, it deals with many things, from abandonment, trauma, depression, addiction. Why should people read the book?
Well, I think it's important because what I discovered myself just writing the book, and I wrote it for a couple of reasons, but my main purpose was because I realized that once I came out of my marriage, that there was the drug addiction that took place during that time. So one it was just one day I just looked in the mirror and I'm like, wow, I've overcome that addiction. And I just felt as though if I can overcome that addiction, other people can too. So I felt like, who am I to hold God's glory for what he's done to me, not to share with other people?
That's amazing. God is amazing. And he has definitely worked through you, like, with this book, Other Side of the Coin. Your father has passed away now. He lived to the age of 75, which is, a full life. But like, the later years of his life probably weren't his best. Dementia, he was blind at the end. Like, how hard was it, like, seeing like, someone who was a champion early on, like, succumb to like, what we all must become to if we live to old age, like, where, you're not like, your younger self.
Well, he was not blind, but he did have Parkinson's disease from an injury that happened when he was lived on the farm. But he was, well, I guess it did. I did see a difference with him because he was very outgoing. He was very active, and in his later years in life, I could just tell that he forgot a lot of things. His memory wasn't the same. I would talk to him, and sometimes he may forget which child I am. I remember the last time I did speak with him on the phone, he kept asking me, when am I coming to Pittsburgh? And I told him, I'm coming soon. And I think it was about maybe 3 months later is when I discovered that he had transitioned. So when I said that to him, I didn't realize that that would force me to go to Pittsburgh just for, to attend the funeral. But yeah, there was a big difference between the last 12 years because he was in an adult facility prior to him passing, about 12 years prior to that. And just, from conversations, I can tell that he wasn't the same man. But he always tried his best to maintain that he knew what he was talking about. So he never gave up faith. And he always make it seem like he was the same guy, like, he knew what was going on. So, but I just maintained and, always kept him encouraged. And we always made sure he got his favorite snacks. So that was the difference.
And beyond the book, like, you also have a scholarship foundation.
Allen University, which he's an alumni at Allen University in South Carolina, Columbia. So they have a scholarship foundation for him, the Sam Davis Memorial Scholarship Fund, which was initiated by Bill Chapman. So they did that, I think, back in March of 2022. And recently he was inducted into the Hall of Honor at Pittsburgh with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
That's amazing. Tonya Davis, the other side of the coin. Check it out. I really appreciate you for taking the time.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You have a great day.
Thank you. You too.